what, $10 trillion of market value has been created this past 2 years, right? I'm aiming big. I want to disrupt like existing workflows across a wide variety of sectors and spaces. And I want to be imaginative on the capabilities, on what these agents can do.
Hey Arjun, welcome to Founder Journeys. It's great to have you
Yes, Arjun.
here today. As always, what we do is we like founders to come and talk about and introduce themselves. So
Yes,
over to
Sanjeev.
you.
Thanks for giving the opportunity. So I'm Arjun. I used to work at Google for 5 years, working on pioneering vertical federated learning. So it's like a very nuanced machine learning technique where you want to train models across data silos and while giving like privacy compliance guarantees, and you can guarantee that the data never joins those silos. So it allows for a whole set of new data sets to be commingled to train models. And yeah, but the past year I've been working on Retriever, which is my AI web agent startup, and we're building an AI web agent to automate tasks, extract structured data, and just make your productivity 100x better. And a little bit more on the previous background before Google. I did my master's from Georgia Tech. I actually have two masters from Georgia Tech, but started a very unconventional route of I studied petroleum engineering for my undergrad, and I switched when the oil price crashed. So I was like, I need to find a new field.
Very interesting. So from petroleum engineering to
Yeah,
software
yeah,
engineering.
yeah.
That's so. When was this? How many years ago did you make the
Yeah,
switch?
I think so. I graduated with my bachelor's in 2016. And I knew that year it's like, oh, I can't get like there were massive layoffs. There was no jobs in that industry. So it's like the oil price went from like 120 to like $30. And if you're like an oil and gas company, that's like one third of your previous revenue. It's just production times the price. So I was like, okay, I need to choose a different industry, and I could only get into mechanical from petroleum for the master's. And then while doing that, I did a lot of computer science classes and just switched and did everything like on the fly and did everything on time though. Yeah.
And then you landed at Google after that, and then you were directly in the on the data side of things, right? At Google, or did you kind of have to find
So
your
I
way
worked
there?
at Capital One for about 2 years, right after the master's, and it was pretty interesting there as well. We were doing a lift and shift migration from on-prem to AWS. So it was like a lot of cool projects. Like just imagine like a fresh grad getting the power to build like things from scratch, and it's like really tightly coupled to the card data processing, all of this stuff. So it was really a lot of responsibility. It was a lot of fun. So sometimes you get a project, it's like maintaining or incremental things, but it was a complete rewrite. So it was really fun. Yeah, since after that, I got into Google and worked there for 5 years.
So let's talk about Retriever. When you say it's an agent to kind of, so I'm looking at your website as I speak. So it says enrich your data with AI web agents, deploy web agents to automate research, extract deep data, and turn any website into a structured source of truth. Um, First question: isn't this something that's doable today?
Yeah, I think it is a very active space. There's a lot of different approaches of people trying to solve for it. We're taking a novel approach of you. So it's, I think the closest analog might be you might know OpenAI Operator or Perplexity Comet. But they're doing this approach of like getting AI to take actions on a website via mostly screenshots. So it's like, hey, here's a screenshot. What coordinate do I click? What is like the next action like to take? We are doing everything using off-the-shelf model like Gemini Flash, and we're just constructing representations of the web pages for the LLMs to interact with or extract data from. So if you think of like any HTML web page, like LinkedIn, for example, that's easily 1 million tokens, and that will, so if you just put in that raw web page, the context window of the model gets overwhelmed and it's not usable. So the way that everybody else is trying to solve it is just like, okay, let's render the page and take a screenshot and submit that to the model. The way we're doing it is much more complex, much more harder, and we'll construct a tree to represent this web page that is like has all the relevant information, but is really succinct. So it's only like 10K to 20K tokens. So the context is not overwhelmed. So this nuanced approach, we don't see anyone else take in the market. And we're building a whole platform. So we're started off as a Chrome extension. So you just install it and it would automate your tasks like, hey, go add Sanjeev on LinkedIn. And then we are relaunching our cloud platform where we spin up cloud browsers to do this task. And we are also launching so with this cloud browser platform, you can interact with through the website, through API. So maybe you have an end-to-end workflow. You can just incorporate this browser action as part of like this automation workflow you have, as well as like a WhatsApp bot. So it's like maybe you're on the go, and we have like a video with my co-founder Bhavani. She demoed that, hey, I'm going to LA Tech Week. Get me all the LA Tech Week events and rank them by how useful like they are for like a agentic startup. And so she kicked it off on the go, and then like she got the results in like a minute or two, like a whole Google sheet populated.
I've done something similar using the
Oh,
OpenAI
okay.
agent in Chat GPT, right? And it does that pretty well. Meaning, if I have to do it, if I'm thinking about any kind of research, I'm just kind of giving a command to the agent and set it on its way, and then I do other stuff, and then I get the report in either a .md file or whatever it is. Um, so in such a case, what is the differentiator? Because I don't care as a consumer, I don't care about the methodology used to fetch the data, right? As long as the data is accurate, it's servicing what I'm looking for, my need rather, right? Um, I don't really care. So the challenge is, or rather the question for you is, if you have such a large ecosystem of users already dealing or using Chat GPT, then why would they find it necessary to switch to a retriever
So
to do that?
So I was trying to emphasize that the nuance approach is leading to much better performance. So we did a benchmark comparison of our agent compared to OpenAI Operator, Anthropic Kua, browser use, and we had double-digit percentage improvement in performance. Like we were beating OpenAI operator with a human like in the loop. So I don't know if you use the OpenAI operator platform. It's like every other thing you ask that agent, it'll ask you for confirmation. Hey, are you sure you want me to click this? Maybe the agent one is different, but
No,
like
I've
the
not used
operator
it.
one is the underlying browser agent. Yeah, so so we were doing like 82% in success rate on the benchmark of 330 web tasks, and OpenAI was doing like 60% success rate. Yeah, you as a consumer probably not understand it, but you'll see the results of like, hey, this is a much better tool. And we had 10,000 users, and we have enthusiasts that are like, they're trying all the tools out there, and they like by far ours. Like it's like super fast, right? As well, because we're just using off the shelf model. Like they're using this custom trained model that's huge, and so it leads to slower inference. So it's like, and I don't know if you tried Atlas as well. The OpenAI. Oh
Comet
my
is
god.
the one I tried, and then yeah, but I'm call me a little bit traditional, but I like control on the browser. I don't like it when meaning I like to use AI that is in a gated environment more or less, or else, but not in my browser as much.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. I prefer to, and
I
maybe it's
think
too early on.
looking at this market, I'm like, hey, I don't think anyone's going to switch browsers. It's really hard to switch browsers. I am an enthusiast, have like 5 browsers on my laptop, and I still use Chrome. It's like I don't want to deal with like what if Comet tomorrow has like a vulnerability? I'm like, God, like I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yet
so
another
it's
thing to
like,
deal with.
as an enthusiast, I'm not switching. I don't see, like, the wider consumer market switching. So we think browser extensions, like, all the capabilities of these AI agents in the browser should be a browser extension. There's no reason to invent a whole browser, the networking layer, all of this. So, that was our core thesis, and we are doing that, like, setting up with so the reason why all of these people are setting up browsers is the way they've architected their agents is they need all the permissions. It needs to, like, figure out the exact coordinates, pixels, all of these things, which our approach doesn't require. So we can be a very sandboxed browser extension. You don't have to worry about it going off the rails, like a whole browser to worry about. So this is also another benefit of security. But yeah, I think the other things we've focused on is like giving us a time to focus on because we're not doing the browser level. It's like, hey, let's think of new interfaces. What, like, is it going to be you prompting like every day to do a task? It's like, no, like we don't think that like I'm getting tired of prompting. Like, but yeah, so it's like we've demoed like record and replay functionality. You just demonstrate a task and you just ask it to redo it, save it as a shortcut, and you can just like put it on a schedule or like say like redo that shortcut like and re-execute that task. So it's like we've been able to explore all of these other functionalities by the time we've saved not being a browser. And another cool thing we are just about to relaunch is that the browser extension is an MCP server. So you open the Chrome extension, you'll get a URL, you just copy it, and you can paste it into any website like Claude.ai, or even like we were partnering with a Slack bot. So they'll have an MCP client interface. So you just paste that URL there, and that agent can now like submit tasks to be done in your browser. So one use case is like from the Slack bot, you could just be like, "Hey, go file this Jira issue. Go file this thing in the conversation as Jira issue," and that will trigger like our agent doing that task for the Slack bot of opening a background tab and filing that thing in the background. So you could be in whatever you agentic interface you're existing in, but you can now leverage the browser to do actions or retrieve data and give you that browser context everywhere. So you will seeing a more interconnected agentic web where all of these siloed products like Slackbot, maybe even like another app or even like from your phone can now take actions in your browser. So another use case is like from a website, like partnering with one that generates like postings for Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. These services don't have APIs to post, obviously. And but now from their website, you will be able to trigger via Retriever opening tabs and getting the agent to post from there. So like a more cross website interactions as well.
So I'm trying to understand the workflow here. So if I am already
Hmm.
using Slack, as in the application, and I have, let's say that's my day to day on in my team or whatever, why would I need to kind of prompt a browser extension to
Yeah,
do
no, no, no.
something on Slack?
I'm saying you're still in Slack. Your your Slack bot or whatever agent in Slack can in the background call the browser extension to do a task in your browser. So currently, like Slack can't create Jira tickets, right? But within your browser, like a browser agent can create a Jira ticket. Now with this MCP URL, you now have the mechanism to trigger from Slack this thing just via like your natural language prompting.
Got it. The reason why I was asking about the workflow is more to understand or make our viewers understand who can use it and what kind of a scenario can they use that
So
feature
I
that
think
you spoke of.
yeah, I could dive
Yeah.
into the use cases that we see because yeah, we like have talked to all the possible users interested in this kind of agentic technology. And a lot of the use cases is, hey, I need this web agent to go into this local government website and extract the latest foreclosure cases. So and extract that to a Google Sheet. And it's funny because the way we started Retriever was we did a hackathon where we were like knew from a friend. that they had a team dedicated to going for every municipality in California, getting its audit file. So it's like a person clicking through on the web, finding the file, and they couldn't automate it because each website is different, each government website changes, and it's not just something you can Google search and get. So you have to like fill in forms. So we were like, hey, an agent can do this like task for like and automate this task, like navigate the web, do actions, and retrieve structured data. And then that turned out to be like one of the primary use cases, like all of these local government use cases of I want to see the latest docket and so that I can get the possible clients like or I want to see all the latest foreclosure cases. So basically turning the web into a personal database for you. Um and we do this very differently than the other competitors in this particular use case because we have tightly integrated with Google Sheets to like do not only data extraction, but also to do more complex workflows. So we have structured like agentic sub agents that say you give a Google Sheet with a list of rows. We can trigger for each row open a new tab and let a sub agent execute independently on that tab. So we can open 10 tabs in parallel in your browser, and each one having an independent sub agent controlling and executing it. And then the input is from the Google Sheet, and it writes back its output to the Google Sheet. And we can then batch this, iterate through thousands of rows. And this is like, if you try to do this with like operator, OpenAI agent, these agents lose it's called context rot. Like they get off the rails after 10 steps. Like they forget what they're doing. And you have to really structure the context, like set up frameworks around it so that you can have repeatable workflows. So the only way to do something that has like, I'm doing 400 parallel executions is to make them independent subagents that like row 5 like is independent of row 30, right? Like there's no reason to keep the context from row 5 into there, like whatever was executing. So we can break down the long horizon tasks into parallel subtasks. And so you can get more and more complex workflows done by these agents.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm trying to visualize a scenario where something like this could happen. Meaning, let's say you have customer data that has been referenced from some kind of a database pulled into the sheet, so you can actually calculate trend information for every individual customer
I
and
could give
push it
you
onto a
a more
third sheet,
relatable one.
kind of a
Say
thing.
I have a Google Sheet with a list of
Mhm.
names, and I give the prompt for each person, for each row, go find their LinkedIn profile and extract their education, experience, and write an intro email or intro message to them. And if they have their if they have their email on LinkedIn itself, like find their contact info and write it back. Just with that single prompt, we'll iterate through open tabs, and since it's using your own browser, you don't need to worry about LinkedIn like blocking you or breaking terms of service because you're doing it on your own browser. And so you can do all of these, automate these websites that are impossible outside of the browser, like LinkedIn, Crunchbase. Basically, a lot of the web is gated and siloed, and so you need to do on browser, in browser automation.
So you're kind of figured out a way to easily navigate through all these security focused protocols like CAPTCHA and
We
stuff like that.
actually do not have to worry about CAPTCHA for now because we're using your own browser.
Okay.
So, like, how often do you get CAPTCHA on LinkedIn? Like, I've never gotten a CAPTCHA on LinkedIn. Even,
No, not on LinkedIn, but there are many other sites which kind of, depending on the amount of times you're gonna kind of log in and reference pages, it's like just like a check to make
yeah,
sure you're not a bot,
we have it in
right?
the roadmap,
So that comes
but
up.
we actually have not noticed that much CAPTCHAs because, like, think of the CAPTCHA, right? You want to block as much bot detection, but the false positives are very costly because now you added a block to your actual users. And so since we're using your own browser, you are very rarely going to be detected as any bot, even if you're using like agentic automation tools.
Okay, good to know. So how does it? So okay, before I get into how does it compare with existing scrapers and stuff, let's take a step back and look at who is as on date. Who is your ideal
Yeah,
user?
so the ideal users are people who want to construct data sets from the web for various use cases of local government data extraction, as well as like partnering with some B2B use cases of that we're developing our cloud platform for. Is like, hey, I have this list of 3,000 brand partners. I need to go see how they're mentioning me on their website. And so it's like you could imagine writing a scraping script for 3,000 different websites is problematic because those websites change and so then you have to go update them, you have to do maintenance. But if you can do it with the agent with a simple prompt and it executes that prompt for every website, that simplifies a lot of things. So doing agentic scraping with just the prompt as input is very valuable to a lot of people and without any scripts to maintain. And yeah, so a lot of agentic scraping use cases, a lot of automation use cases of people wanting to trigger us from their end-to-end workflow. So I have this automation set up and I want to like just call this browser action as part of it. And then other builders that want to incorporate agentic actions from their own like bots, agents, what we're offering with for them is that not only the cloud offering, but also this web agent as MCP server, so that your user could install our extension and then from your platform be able to trigger actions in their browser.
So basically, you're talking about people who are dealing with data, could be developers or could be research or analysts, and product
Yeah, we
owners.
had some sales that
Is that right?
we are also trying heavily for sales and marketing use cases of like sending LinkedIn automations or outbound research. So similar to like Clay, I don't, if you've tried like Claygent, like constructing data sets of leads as well from the web, but leveraging your own browser tabs. It's still early days in that of trying to crack that nut of making it easily understandable for that market. Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting if you can, if you can offer capabilities that are aimed at qualifying existing data sets, right? Meaning, for example, if I'm using an Apollo.ai for my outreach, most of the times you always wonder how updated is that information. You're kind of depending heavily on Apollo to do that and make sure that the database of emails and contacts that they have is the latest or updated, whatever, right? It's synced on time. But in addition to that, there's so much of other unstructured information that's out there. Maybe somebody's posting an update on Twitter. Maybe somebody's posting an update on LinkedIn. How do you map that back and make sure that that information is enriched, right? And then trigger an outreach, which is much more nuanced. Because today there is so much of the amount of information or the amount of outreach that is happening via LinkedIn, and it's messy because you can make out it's automated, right? Even the messages, so you may have custom messages that come in, but it's an automation. So that's becoming a bit of a disconnect. Rather, if there was someone who, even if it is an automation, but then if the message was much more nuanced to what is happening in reality with the recipient's life, it may make it much more of a higher value contact.
Yeah, I think I
You know what I
understand what
mean?
you mean. You're approaching it from the use case side of things and the user side of things. And it's like, how does Apollo compile all of its data set of like all of these user details, right? They're not just scraping the web, they're like compiling from all of these various sources. And it's really hard to replicate that because what we're doing is leveraging the browser, like doing actions that you would have typed and clicked and searched and done, right? But you yourself, right? Like you can't find my similar like information just by typing searching on Google, because what Apollo has done is they have all these providers, they've aggregated these data sets, they're doing things that is much different. So I think it's like we once had one user, he was like, okay, this is cool. Can we now get? I want to get a list of everyone in SF making over 100K, and I'm like, dude, I can't do that. Like, there's no way this is possible, right? This is like it's typing and clicking in your browser. It's not like able to find that. I can't find that. Yeah, and there's some privacy concerns I'm sure about as well. But yeah, so it's the capabilities and finding what the capabilities are now and trying to productionize and productize them is we're still ideating on like how to abstract it away. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. No, I was just trying to figure out what are the possible areas that you're looking at. Um, Fair. So now coming back to the previous question that how does it compare with the existing data scrapers? Second is Zapiers and Makes of the world that is already doing a lot of stuff like this.
Yeah.
So how does it compare?
So a lot of existing scrapers, maybe like Firecrawl, other ones. So they do not take browser actions while scraping, right? So like, how do you simulate like a human like type click trajectory? It's like you would literally have to do like write a code like a file to simulate that. So other scrapers are more just like go to this web page, load it, extract the data, and do that. So you need a combination of a agent going through all these various places, doing these types, clicks, filling in a form, and retrieving the data at the end, versus just going to a web page and seeing what's available. So there's a whole new world of data that is now available much more easier than with you having to manually hire like a developer or like writing code yourself to simulate like a whole trajectory. Now the agent can do that trajectory, get this data. And compared to others, as I was mentioning, we're taking a novel approach of launching a browser in the cloud, launching with only like without using any vision. So we have much more accurate data extraction and much cheaper data extraction.
When has this been launched
So we had a
initially?
very initial launch Christmas Eve last year. And since then,
Okay.
we did a lot of fair amount of podcasts as well as a lot of YouTube collaborations of agent reviewers, and they've gotten like 50K views, and that has led to a lot of conversion of users to like we had 10,000 users, but what we kept hearing from people is like, it's cool, this is perfect, this is amazing, like that all the actions it can do on my browser. I would love to scale this out and get more data, open more tabs. Like, there's a limit to how many tabs you can open on your own device. And we're like, we hear you, we get it. We need some time to build a whole cloud platform that, with the browsers in the cloud, it's like a whole different beast. So, so we took it offline and we focused heads down on building this whole platform with every offering of a browser extension for people who want to do auth-walled sites, cloud platform for people who want to do at scale automation and data extraction, even a WhatsApp bot for people for on the go wanting structured data, like wanting just a quick data set. So we and the API for people who want to build on top of us or call this from their own workflow automation. And we want to be a whole platform. Yeah.
So while you were talking about that, I was thinking about the type of users as well, right? Meaning when you look at what people are talking about when they see the product, is there more of a need for just experimenting with gathering data or more of a need with regard to capturing data and then enriching existing data and then driving certain tasks or triggers or functions in their existing products or workflows, right? There are two different kind of users here, right? Um, the first one's being just interested in getting information and updating a database. The second one is much
Yeah.
more
So I
nuanced.
think we actually only had to deal with the first one. There was desire for the second one, but it was kind of not possible because we before it was a browser extension that couldn't be triggered. So, and we had the request for the second category, but with the relaunch though, it should be possible with our whole cloud platform that you could call us via webhook and like do automations like trigger us, as well as the being able to trigger the Chrome extension as well. So we we've discovered the first one for sure. We met those users, know them. We felt the need for the second category, and we're excited to see how the reception is with our relaunch.
Yeah. But the reason also that I'm asking this is when I'm looking at a website, your main statement, your hero statement is enrich your data, right? So when I'm thinking enrich, it presets the whole thing with saying that, oh, I have my existing database, maybe I have CRM information, I have any other kind of data, and I can enrich it
Yeah,
with
so the
nuance.
idea was that the use cases that we discovered is, hey, maybe you have your data in your CRM, etc. You could download it as a Google Sheet, and like you would just prompt via our platforms like, hey, for each row, go do this action, or like write these new columns. Go on the web, fill these things, then get this new columns written, and that we can do. And we actually uh, have a whole unique take on this in that the web agent itself can create tools and API calls. So you could just be like, hey, go find my HubSpot API key, create a tool to load contacts to HubSpot, go to LinkedIn, download all, like, write, find all the latest connections I have to Google Sheet, and then upload all of them to HubSpot using the new tool you created. So that would have been a very complex developer script you would have had to figure out. You would have to understand API keys, all of this. But with just a prompt, like the agent is able to leverage keys, API keys on the screen, create like tools to call these things and leverage them as part of a structured workflow. So you don't need to do these like N8N drag and drop like workflows. You just do the prompt and it's all done. So yeah, there is yeah, we can take existing data you have in a Google Sheet, open, do web traversals, write back new columns, as well as loading to CRM. It's a like a very nuanced thing I'm explaining. It's like really hard to like easily come. What would you call it instead? What would you have
Yeah.
the hero there instead? Knowing what I told you now.
No, so as a as a person who's just happened across a website, when I look at it, I'm saying what comes in my mind is that, okay, enrich your data using AI web agents. I'm thinking, okay, that means I can improve the data that I have collected over the years, maybe, or my customer data, and maybe I can enrich it. But then in my head, I'm wondering, enrich it how, right? What do I have to do? The advantage that you have is in terms of ease of use compared to anybody else, right? It's like pretty much just speak to it or type in natural language, and and then just as long as you are fairly technical in terms of you understand what your API key is, you're good, right? Things like that. So that ease of enriching data is not getting conveyed here, is what I thought. That's how, because that is the hook as far as I'm concerned, right? So otherwise, you get compared with, oh, there's so many people who are talking about enriching data, is the way you think
That's
about
a
it.
fair point. Yeah, I mean, it is a very competitive space with a lot of people, and it's
Yeah.
hard to differentiate. And it's but you also want to anchor people, so it's a tough balancing game between anchoring them on the use cases and in like differentiating on like how you're different ease of use and all of this.
So it's like as good as have an agent that you can speak to and improve on your information, or improve on your data, or enrich your data, something like that. So the mechanism by how you can do it, I know you're given the end result, but then the end result in your case, because everybody's talking about the same end result, the advantage that you have is in the how.
Yeah.
And how easy is it, because that kind of then underlines the why should we go with retrieval, right? Because it's easy. It's stupid simple to enrich your data, should be your take, pretty much, stuff like that. When it comes to multi-step workflows, you mentioned how it can happen, but do you also see this have any kind of application in closed ecosystems, like let's say contact centers, where there's a lot of customer data that's there, and again, this may be a completely different workflow, because this is real-time navigation across internal systems to fetch information. It's almost like, screen automation kind of a thing. Do you see a parallel kind of a use case here, or that's not an area that you think it's
So
valuable enough?
with this technology, right, we see it automating a lot of tasks of not not as much personal use cases, but definitely like automating like the scripting and scraping out there. And then we want to get into automating productivity use cases, employee productivity. But that's a little bit more complex because the browser extension communicates with our backend to do all of this processing. And in an enterprise setting, you don't want any of your data leaving the enterprise network. So it's like any of most of the businesses have blocked Comet, Atlas because of the exfiltration risk, and so we had those requests, and it is we mentioned we are open to setting up a siloed backend in your enterprise data center, and we would love to automate these employee productivity tasks. So you can imagine you're like a worker, like you're working at the company and you're like have all these database queries, what have you. And now they're just prompts and like your agent is in the side panel, like automating the stuff for you with just prompting and like that will make your life much easier. Like before I had to like write all these scripts, right? Like these commands. The future of work is definitely going to change with these browser agents, but how we get there is a bit more complex. And so for us, we're a team of two. We're like, we'll get back to this when we have funding, when we have a bigger team, and we can do spend time on these enterprise, like to get that deal set up, to go through security review, to set up the deployment is too too much time for us right now.
No, I get it. Yeah, completely. But you can definitely talk, address the needs of small time business and, startups. They're kind of using simple browser-based CRMs and stuff like that to run their businesses.
Those, yeah, we've actually found there are a lot of small business owners that have reached out that are like, "Hey, I want you. I'm using your tool to like automate my Shopify store. Right? I have these things like these products, and then I have these like Shopify queries I'm manually doing. The agent is able to like just go to the tabs, get the data, call the API, and do all this, right? Like it's a mix of both browser action and APIs. So and also like doing leads, like yeah, LinkedIn is a very easy one of like lead research, lead outbound, but we need to think deeper on like how people are going to use this. The agentic scraping automation is like much easier entry point, and so we think yeah the small businesses are next on the list after.
There's so many use cases to tap once based on the workflow that you're enabling. So why browser extensions?
Yeah, so we there was a lot of pushback from the like as we were pitching investors, like, hey, why is this a browser extension? Is there even a successful browser extension that like turned into a unicorn? Like, why? It's like I think when the first AI came out, first LLMs came out, it's like the game became very clear to the builders out there. It's like, all right, how do we put the best relevant context into the model and then turn that into useful like actions to take, right? And the browser is a perfect place for that. All of your context is there. It just opens LinkedIn. It has that contact. You're already signed in. You don't need to do additional like authentication, sign in, all of this stuff. And it's very valuable in that like you can do actions as well. Like go to all the other websites. You don't need to like do all these other like hooks, right? Like the agent can be like, oh, okay, you need this very specific news information. I'll open CNN.com, right? That's always an option to it. So you can just directly access websites and go to them. You don't need to set up API keys. So the browser seemed the perfect place for most revolutionary space for automation. And we had the idea that you don't need a whole new browser for this. Everything should be sandboxed as an extension. Like you don't need to reinvent the browser. You can actually and we've successfully proved that thesis. Like the browser extension was able to do all the things we wanted it and more. And so, yeah, that was the initial reason why. But then we like saw the pitfalls of this approach in that it's not scalable. It is, people want more value. Like it was a great mechanism for people to try out, and it's like a really good go to market. Turned into a very good go to market motion of like people install it, try it out, they love it. But then they're like left wanting more of like wanting to scale out their usage. So it's like, okay, we can convert this not from the main product into the entry point for users to discover us. And then the cloud platform, other things we're setting up would be the ones we monetize on and drive value from.
Okay. So the cloud platform is a new play
Yeah.
that you have.
So cloud,
Okay.
API, and yeah.
Okay. So then is it fair to assume that your focus is gonna be on product companies, product businesses?
Uh, I would say like our new focus is going to be on like, I mean, it has always been on this like power automators, power scrapers, like people who want to do scraping at scale. So that's one of the things. It's such an exciting time to be a builder. You have an idea, is like, oh, I think the LLMs are capable enough to like, just understand, like do this task, or like, create tools on the fly, or just ideating on the product space, like building out new features, seeing what sticks has been the name of the game. We see it here. It's like it does like you need to iterate fast, build fast, see what sticks, stick it onto your platform. And that's our idea as well.
So have you seen any particular industry that has taken more of an
Yeah,
interest to this?
definitely local governments, like people who are interested in local government data extraction. That has been like surprisingly a significant fraction of the use cases. Like like I mentioned earlier, the foreclosure, like there are people that have more complex use cases, like, hey, I need to like from my Airbnb listings find like all of these other like match these Airbnb addresses with the local government like data sets, like what they have about these properties. And I need this done by the AI because it's like been like too troublesome to like write a script for this. So yeah, the local government data extraction automation has been turned out to be a surprising use case. We even had someone that they were like, I have a team in the US dedicated to going through all the court cases in South Carolina. And as you can imagine, that's a huge cost on the business, right? Like, and it's a small, like medium business, but so it's like even more costly for them there's a lot of these like manual human based web workflows that surprisingly involve a lot of local government, and that we think our agent would be a perfect solution for.
You mentioned you're making it super easy for anybody to use it. So is ease of use more of an important thing, or is powerful capability more of an important thing when it comes to the product?
I definitely think ease of use. We've seen the other platforms out there. It's like and the agent builders, maybe, it's like we always had the idea that these drag and drop platforms is like a stepping stone, right? Like there's no way that this is going to last more than 5 years. Like people are talking about AGI, and like then they're building like these agent builders. We think those kind of tools will be replaced by very easy to use natural language prompting, where the agent figures out the workflow from your prompt and has a whole set of like sub agents that it can structure together into a workflow.
So maybe we could take a look at what you have on the product. A quick
Yeah, I've
product
been
demo
waiting
would be
for this the
great.
whole time. Yeah, because I feel like it'd be more easier to convey like from like just demonstrating the product, but I get it for your users. It's harder to see because it's like a podcast. But like, and to convey what I'm doing. So I opened the browser extension I had already installed. I had this query that I just put in as a user input. It's like, go add Sanjeev Nair on LinkedIn. I hope I spelled your name right. Did I? Maybe. Yeah. I mean,
Let's
I'll
see.
figure it out. But so it's like you can see the.
There are many Sanjeev
Yeah, I
Nairs.
mean,
That's the thing.
I can say, choose he has a pot. You can give user feedback at any time, so as it structures it. So yeah, it's I just chose the fourth one. I don't think it's you, but this is like, yeah. So it's
Got it. Yeah.
you can so it can ask you for feedback as well. But yeah, you can do your own thing and be on other tabs, kick off your this workflow in the background, and you don't need to be blocked as this agent executes in the background. So other tools, right? Like
Mhm.
they need screenshotting, they need all of this, like vision-based approaches, but they don't. But that means like the background tabs don't get rendered while you're like not on them, right? So you would need to do much more like you would either need to like build your own browser and ensure all of these tabs get rendered, or like which increases the resources used, or like you're blocking the user to be watching the agent like do your task, which is like not that useful. So that's one use case, and I was trying to show earlier it's like the benchmark performance of us compared to others, and the idea for the cloud platform is that you can give like a Google sheet of give a Google sheet of input, and like you can just give just a natural language prompt, like in this case go to YC and filter for the latest batch of companies, extract all their company details, and then for each company go like find its pricing, all of this information. So we can spin up like 50 or so browsers in the cloud and like process each one in parallel, which you can't do locally. And the other interesting take we have is that you can now just copy paste this MCP URL and paste it into like any of these like websites out there, like agents out there. So I already have like it's set up here, but I can set up a new one. So you just paste that URL, and now Claude can take actions in your browser, right? So you can think of we're entering a new web era where websites can interact with the browser as opposed to like you interacting with the browser before. So use retriever. So maybe I just gave like a simple query like, hey, use this retriever thing tool I just added and do this action in the browser. So then Claude will be able to figure out what tabs to execute on, and so it's just and coordinate executing it on your browser. Yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to think through the other use cases or demos to show you. So it's a lot of data extraction and web automation use cases, and also that we can record tasks, you can connect to other MCP servers.
See, what I'm thinking when I'm looking at this, I see the features. I see that the extension can be implemented like this, but I'm trying to get my head around a typical user's day to day and when do they think about retriever and invoke it. I'm trying to connect that the natural flow of when a product is being used in their day to day workflow.
Yeah, so you could say, imagine I've done like a task, I've converted it into a shortcut, and and then like maybe I have this repeatable automation that I can just trigger whenever I need that task done, right? So maybe I have this workflow to go on LinkedIn, get the latest post or something. Or so I've configured shortcuts that I can trigger when I need them. So that's like one use case, but the main like
Mm,
things we're trying to solve for is like the data extraction use cases. Yeah.
right. So if I have, let's say, a list of names that I have so simple example, yesterday I was at a conference and I just took pictures of the attendee list that was there and I kind of put it into OpenAI and just said extract this and put it into a sheet. So now I have a sheet which has got all the names and names, designations, companies of people in the sheet. So I can actually just kind of dump that in here and kind of use Retriever to, get all the other additional information by going to whichever place it is. I can say go to LinkedIn, look at this, and then go to product hunt and pick up their latest stuff, or go to Twitter and pick up their last two tweets,
Yeah,
things like that,
exactly.
right? Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Hmm. Now, the other question I have is can you then so once you upload the sheet, the Google sheet, is that retained as your primary source of data that has to be continuously refined? Can you set schedules for it to keep checking and keep
Yeah,
updating?
exactly. So you can re-execute things. You can set schedules either with the Chrome extension or with the website. Like so you can set up like schedules that run in our cloud browser, and so you can either run schedules remotely, run them in the own browser, but it's like really useful like how we structured the whole agentic architecture in that it can our agent can run multi-step workflows with a Google Sheet being used as memory between steps. So I can have a first step of like extract this data from this website, And then a second step that the agent can construct is like for each row in that extracted data, go do like some X task. So, and our agent can do this with like using this kind of memory layer. You can like silo off the context so that it can do 30-minute to hour-long independent execution without that context rot we mentioned earlier.
How easy is it to do this?
It's all a function of like the prompting. So we notice that users are like they don't want to write prompts, right? Like, and so if I just came something like this, we have like a specific use case for like enhancing prompts. So maybe you just give like a high level like intent, and we can determine like we can enhance that prompt to do a better job. Like make a you can see it from others as well. Like a lot of people submit a prompt into Chat GPT, construct like a much longer, like one-page prompt, and like just edit like some words here and there, and then submit it. Yeah. So we have that similar setup.
Yeah, meaning I was saying multi-step prompts are very tricky to do, right? Meaning you need to again make sure it's accurate. I upload a Google Sheet and I say, okay, um, every day go and check, or every week, or once every Saturday go and check that, for specific columns. And then once if there is, and then I'm setting a rule saying that if there is for any of the records that have got an updated column, whatever column E, then go and do something else, things like that.
Yeah.
I know I'm complicating the workflow, but I'm just kind of curious in terms of how easy it could be to do
Yeah.
this.
So the specific thing, like I get the idea that you're trying to do, and it's like, hey, I think that overall idea is feasible. Uh, like I think the specific thing you were wanting is like diff tracking between like goes like checks to see if this thing is updated, do this Y thing. Yeah, so I think that whole capability is what we've set up with the scheduler. Yeah.
This is pretty cool. I can think of a few use cases on the enterprise side for sure.
Yeah. I'm curious to understand a little bit more since you mentioned you tried out Comet. What have you tried Comet out for?
No, I was just experimenting on the day that they announced it. That's about it. I just kind of, but again, I hardly tested it for things like this.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think what Comet has, like, it has access to all of your tabs and, like, it can decide which tab to execute
Yeah.
on, which, for us, we are like, okay, you would select the tabs you would execute on and, like, figure that out yourself. So, I can see why that's a little problematic for people. Like I think this is like whole space generally of AI browser agents. There was like a recent technology review article, like a technology in search of a solution. So there's a lot of people like builders on one side who see the transformative impact, and then we're trying to figure out like the best use cases, the best solutions to solve. So compared to other AI like start like AI fields, right? Like this one, I think like there's a ton of transformative potential. It's just like whoever figures out the best use cases wins, and it's still a learning journey for everyone in the space.
Yeah. So, which is why even my question to you earlier also was that which is the industry and what is the type of user? Because if you can kind of map those two things closely, then you have at least a very clear focus in the near future, right? In terms of where to drive more impact. If you are looking at your end user, who's your end user, or who's your ideal customer, um, it's that person's everyday. If that can be improved by this product, then you're onto something, because then they're going to invoke this in across, meaning every hour that they're at this screen, that this is happening, and then they're expecting some value out of the output that you deliver, right? So there is downstream effect
But
as well.
I think you could work it backwards, right? Like the whole craze, right? Like how did all the AI craze happen? ChatGPT, like OpenAI just released ChatGPT. It was just like a general purpose. You type in some input, you get some LLM output. And they never targeted any particular industry. They started off as a horizontal tool. And that's how like what $10 trillion of market value has been created this past 2 years, right? So I'm aiming big. I'm not trying to, have like a medium. I want to disrupt like existing workflows across a wide variety of sectors and spaces. And I want to be imaginative on the capabilities, on what these agents can do, and hoping that I mean, with the eye for like the use cases as well, like not blindly sailing into the ocean. But yeah.
So my argument to that would be OpenAI had one big thing going for them. They were the first mover. There was nothing like, meaning the experience that they delivered and the outcomes, meaning the output they delivered was never seen by anybody before. And then it was like a big moment there, right? And that's what capitalized that valuation that you talk about, the promise that they've shown in terms of what is possible. Um, when I look at a product like this, the biggest thing that pops in your head is there's so many of them, so many out there who are trying to do the same thing. So then what's the differentiator and why will I why is this product the de facto one that I should go to? Which is where I come back to value delivered to a narrow segment. And then you can obviously, if it works well, it helps you also refine on the product and then easily um, moving horizontal from there is much lesser of a challenge because you already established all the feature capabilities and stuff like that very well and tested and proven and things like that, right?
One thing to keep in mind is that with the latest AI technologies, the moment you specialize in a very particular like vertical industry, that is time taken from, or even use case, right? Like that is time taken from creating a more general horizontal solution. And what you'll eventually see is like, hey, yeah, there could be like X of these meeting note takers, right? Like they've solved this amazing problem very well of like attending meetings, taking notes. And then like a very horizontal technology could just disrupt all of them, right? Like, well, now you have this thing that is subsumed by a much more horizontal agent. So, yeah, it's a really exciting space. There's like a lot of twists and turns. There will be a lot of, dead ends, and it's like you have to be careful to not invest so much time into thing that could be like a really good smaller use case or a solution, but losing track of the bigger like churns of the technology.
Yeah, just checking in terms of where you're headed in terms of vision.
Yeah.
So on the other side of it, this is the fetch side of the data. Do you and I understand that you said that you can trigger multiple workflows, but have you also considered it being able to be the backend for very interesting dashboards and stuff like that for people?
Yeah, I think so. Where I see our tools, our platform is, it can generate like a data set. Like it can generate data set whether it be in a Google Sheet or like into your own CRM or database. We can call these tools whatever tool you need, and from there you'll be able to use other tools to visualize. And I'm sure like Google Sheets will like Google has something cooking of like being able to easily like generate graphs. So I think that's not as a focus for us, but just getting the data from the web to a structured format is our core focus.
This has been really, really cool, Arjun. Thank you so much for running us through the product and taking the time to have a conversation here as well. Do you have any current challenges that you're dealing with?
No, thank you, Sanjeev, for giving the opportunity to talk, discuss. The current challenge, not so much, but like we are relaunching our platform this week on Wednesday. Like we're just eagerly awaiting for Google to reapprove the Chrome extension for public launch. But if you or your listeners would upvote us on Product Hunt, that would solve a lot of my problems that I'm facing right now.
Super. Yeah, we'll post the link to the product hunt listing and then have viewers at least vote it up for sure.
Hey, I'm Arjun, founder CEO of Rtrvr.ai. We're building the state-of-the-art AI web agent that can automate complex workflows, extract structured data sets from the web, all with natural prompting. And you can leverage us via API, browser extension, our own cloud platform. And yeah, give it out a try. And we're launching our product hunt on Wednesday, November 5th. Please give us a upvote as well. Thank you.
Really nice to have you on the pod, and hope to see Retriever do very well and reach the heights of success. As you said, you want to make it big, so looking forward to
Yeah.
see where you get with this.
Thank you so much.
So all the best.
Have a good week. Yeah.